we've got a problem that is unprecedented in the housing market in the United States. The overwhelming percent of people with mortgages in the United States, I've seen estimates of 60 and 70% recently, have mortgages that are more than 3 points below where the market is today. And so people who would have liked to have moved on, would have liked to have taken a promotion, a new job, moved somewhere else for a better opportunity, they're stuck as stuck could be. Because they're in a loan that is so cheap that they can't give it up, and it curtails their freedom and independence in life. You know, I've noticed an effect of this. There are a lot of people who are in homes that they have to go somewhere else for opportunity. Maybe they got laid off at their job, and the next opportunity was somewhere else. And they don't want to give up that home loan they have, because then they would lose that opportunity, because where they move, they're going to be paying 7% more or less. And where they are, they've got, let's say, 3%, 2.5%, whatever, 4%, so much lower than the market is now. So they become an involuntary landlord, and they rent out the old home to not give up that cheap mortgage. And then they've got the obligation of the old mortgage, and then the much higher one on the new place, or they have to rent where they're moving because they can't afford to have the two mortgages. It is, in short, a mess. It's distorting the housing market and all the rest. And let's think how we got here. Because of the banking scandals, the world economy was on the brink of collapse. And central banks, including our Federal Reserve, used every possible imaginable tool to prevent another Great Depression around the world. And so they manipulated interest rates down, including mortgages, which the Federal Reserve normally does not have anything but indirect influence on. And they kept those rates down for a long time for borrowing of various types. Vehicle loans were crazy cheap. Home loans were crazy cheap. Everything but credit cards was crazy cheap, or payday loans. And so as the economy recovered and gathered strength, it was really hard for central banks to wean the economies away from low rates. It took us a long time to do so. So now we have all these people who were in loans who refied, and people who bought homes who took out these ultra cheap loans. And everybody's stuck. And then we've got all these people who like to buy homes, and there's what's known as velocity in the market. So I have, again, my crazy idea. It would require legislation from the Congress, but my idea is so crazy, and people want solutions here. Maybe somebody will think about this. So the people who are investors who have these loans, they don't like having a loan sitting there at 1.875% or 2.5% or 3.5% or 4%, when the marketplace is 7%. So here is what I propose. Almost all mortgage loans.
You're killing us. Go.
Well, I've got to set the preamble to make sense.
All right.
So almost all loans are pretty much underwritten by the federal government through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. So what if the government said to a lender, okay, this person wants to move. At your option, if they're in that 3% loan, if they will give it up for a loan 2 points higher of whatever they are at a new home, they then have the opportunity of getting a below market interest rate, but the lender is suddenly making a lot more on that person's borrowing than they're making on the loan right now.
That's brilliant.
Well,
And that's,
I don't
and
know
then
if it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's not crazy. I think it's genius.
But I've been thinking about how we're so stuck in the mud. And so you have to get, in capitalism and free enterprise, you've got to get people's interests aligned. The people holding these ultra cheap loans, like as an example, you're at 1.875%.
Right.
You're not giving that up.
No.
So your state did want to move, and whatever the circumstance you want to move.
Downsize maybe, yeah.
And they said, well, you give up your 1.875, but you take a 3.875. And then that lender who's suffering with your 1.875% payment coupon suddenly is like, wow, I'm going to get double the interest from this person. You, on the other hand, are like, I'm paying 3.875 instead of 7 if I move, giving up the 1.875.
Love it.
The idea is to align the interests of the borrowers, what's good for the country, to recreate the normal housing market in the United States that's frozen, and create opportunity for people to buy homes, because the prices of homes would moderate if there was more inventory. And the first-time home buyers who right now are frozen out, they still get stuck with the market rates. But they now have more inventory and almost certainly more affordable prices on homes. Nobody's winning with these except a small number of people who can sell and don't need to go to another home. Nobody's winning from the market being frozen as it is. So I know that this is way out there, and I'd love for people in the housing finance industry, the lending industry, to start shooting holes in it, because that's how you make the idea better. But we need some original thinking. Remember, the Federal Reserve and central banks around the world used original thinking to prevent another Great Depression. But then there were these carry-on effects that are now harming people in real time, in real life, here in the United States and also in other countries. So let's find a way to free up the market again that is frozen. And this is my shortcut to making it happen.
I love it.
You do
should we
like
put up
the
like
idea.
a sample letter somebody can send with the idea to their representatives?
Well, I think we need people to shoot holes in it. So if we could give people an opportunity to say, Clark, let me tell you, I thought you were an idiot before. Now I really know you're an idiot.
You could write into Clark
this is a
Stinks.
good idea, but if you did this or that, it would make it better.
Right.
It would make it better.
Right into Clark Stinks.